Hi, I'm Ruth, and I'm going to be talking to you about the Corset. The Corset is by Laura Purcell, which I just finished last night. And I really wanted to talk about it because it's really phenomenal. She also wrote The Silent Companions. I don't know if you've read this. This is a very good read. It was a bit flat for me. I didn't feel pulled into this world, but I still enjoyed reading it. And I enjoyed reading it enough to where I got her next book. So The Corset was not what I was expecting at all. I was very skeptical about a murderer who kills people by sewing their clothes. I was like, how does that work, you know? But in this book, it is demonstrated very well on how that could be and what that might look like. This book is about two women. One is an upper class woman who lives with her father. She is struggling with a few challenges where she's trying to find a way to marry the person that she wants to be with. And she is also wanting to pursue her own interests. And one of her interests, or her main interests rather, is phrenology. Phrenology. Phrenology was a popular pseudoscience at this time. This is Victorian England and the Industrial Revolution. So it's really interesting that that's the science that she is very drawn to. And she uses this tool to interpret the souls and character of other people. So if she meets a police officer and he has a bump in the, over his ear, that might mean he's assertive or he's a liar or, he is evasive, stuff like that. So she, with every single person she meets, she's applying this pseudoscience to be able to read people. And she's really gung-ho about it. Like, she's like, every time she meets someone, she's just breaking them down to their skull parts, But she does come off a little neckbeardy at times because she does speak in this more like a vernacular of the era. She's very arrogant about her science. She is very judgmental. And she's also, she has that privileged kind of protection about herself. So she doesn't like anything. Her her ego is completely defensive and will pop up and say things like, how dare you say this? Things like that. It was just really funny. But she's also endearing. She's funny. She's under the thumb of her father. She has suffered some loss in her life. And her main passion, like it's her life's passion, is to visit the women at the prison. And what she does is she uses tape measures and, I don't know what they're called, like those big pincher things that measure the size of stuff. I can't remember what they're called at the moment. But she uses those to measure skulls, and she takes measurements, and what she's doing is she's trying to find correlations between skull A and skull B and skull C to see if there's something there that ties them all together. She also has a theory that our skulls change shape, that they grow and they produce bumps and lumps and nodules that would be there based on the the pureness of their soul or the acts that they do. So she's trying to find evidence to kind of support phrenology and also to bolster the science. And this is where Ruth comes in. Ruth is our working class 14-year-old girl who loses a lot of her family, and because of that she is forced to be an indentured servant at a clothing house. She is there for a very specific reason, to pay off her mother's debt, and then once that debt is paid, she'll be able to go home. And as you can imagine, things go, I wouldn't say they go off the rails, basically. Ruth is a very endearing character. You want to protect her, you want to give her a hug. All she wants is a friend. All she wants is a safe place. And if you've ever been a person in a position where maybe you were bullied at school, or maybe you were an orphan, or maybe home life was terrible for you, or maybe in the workplace you can't find somewhere to be where you can just do your work, not feeling safe is a huge psychological, mental, emotional, painful thing to go through every single day of your life. And Ruth has not felt safe for a very long time. And she's now in a situation where she's sewing from the crack of dawn until midnight and eating meager food and just basically being treated like a slave. There are also other girls that are there who are very interesting. But Ruth and Dorothea do meet up often enough to where the way the story works is when Ruth is telling her story to Dorothea, you're reading along, or you're hearing along with Dorothea. Some of the frustrating things that Dorothea will do is she'll say things like, oh, you're lying. You're lying, Ruth. Why are you lying? Why do you say these things? And, people who just can't wrap their mind around something, it is intimidating to their worldview. And this poor girl who has nothing, who's just in this horrible prison, who is going to probably die there. It's like, it's just really sad. Because I feel like probably that storyline has played out in real lives, So we get to see like Dorothea and Ruth Dorothea is like trying to figure herself out. She's completely perplexed about Ruth, and Ruth's mere existence causes her so much strain but also intrigue. So it's a very interesting relationship. This book is definitely gory and definitely has elements of terror and brutality. It's visceral. And it does have a supernatural aspect to it. But really, to me, it's a social commentary. You have these two women who are they're living their lives within the same system. But, for Ruth, who is just a working class young female, she has no rights, she has no protection, nobody cares. And a lot of people treat her that way. And then you have Ruth who, she wants to live her own life, but she really won't be able to in this society. And the two things that those characters have are loneliness. They're both lonely. They both don't have friends, So I love this book. So unexpected, so well written, just amazing. If you want something that's like it's creepy and scary, but something very new, this was good, really good. If as like just a little extra, I guess, there's this really great documentary called, I wrote it down, Hidden Killers in the Victorian Home. It's on YouTube. It is so good. And it's going to give you like this really interesting glimpse into like Dorothea's world, I'd say. Because a lot of these, the industrial, a lot of the industrial processes, especially for fabric, were used with arsenic. And those were really only the wealthy had them because they were so expensive. They're killing off the wealthy like left and right, which is, to me, is kind of hilarious. But I mean hilarious in the sense of like, it's like the new thing, the top thing that you can't have because you can't afford it, but then it kills you, So yeah, so check that out because I feel like it's kind of two cool things that would go together. Sorry, my camera just turned off because that's just what it does. So anyway, in conclusion, the next thing that I'm going to be reading is The Rest Maidens by Gwendolyn Kist. And this sounds so unique and interesting. I'm so excited to read it. It's sort of like an industrial, supernatural tale, I'm not sure, but I'm really excited to read this. I also have Devil in the White City on my list, and I have Aurora Rising. I am an Illumincrate box subscriber. I'm not really into YA that much, but I'm actually finding things that I like. And though I preliminarily, I mainly like to read horror and ghost stories and stuff like that, having a book crate kind of sends you stuff that maybe is outside of your comfort zone. It's pretty cool. So anyway, thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye from Berlin.